Don and Glenn had asked me to play up in San Jose. That's where I first, because I had met Don and Glenn down at the Troubadour, just bumping into each other.
He was the quiet heartbeat of the Eagles, the man behind one of their most soaring ballads. Yet Randy Meisner's silence spoke volumes. For decades, he kept his pain private, choosing peace over drama. But at 77, as time caught up with him, he finally broke his silence. In a moment of raw honesty, Meisner revealed the 7 musicians he could never forgive. A shocking confession after years of silence. And among the heartbreak and betrayal, he whispered one name he never stopped loving. Don't miss this powerful story of truth, regret, and rock and roll redemption. Randy Meisner co-founded the Eagles, helped craft their sound, and wrote some of their most iconic music. But as the band climbed the charts, the power structure became lopsided. Don Henley and Glenn Frey took control, creatively, financially, and personally. Meisner, the modest Midwestern bassist, began to fade from the picture. Even on the legendary Hotel California album, his only lead vocal was buried on the B-side, almost as an afterthought. And then came the breaking point. June 1977. A concert in Knoxville, Tennessee. Meisner, battling health issues and performance anxiety, said he couldn't sing "Take It to the Limit" that night. The song was his signature, but the pressure had become unbearable. Glenn Frey reportedly snapped, yelling, "Fox you then!" A punch was thrown. Police backstage tried to intervene, but Don Henley told them to back off. This is personal. Real fucking personal. That night shattered everything. Frey issued an ultimatum. If you're unhappy, quit. And Meisner did. He left the band quietly. No farewell tour, no interviews, no drama, just silence. But the silence didn't stop there. When the Eagles reunited in the 1990s, Meisner was shut out. He wasn't invited to join the Hell Freezes Over tour. His songs weren't played. His name was barely mentioned. According to Meisner, Don and Glenn even warned their manager, Irving Azoff, not to support his solo career. If you manage Randy, they allegedly told him, we'll find someone else. Meisner's album flopped. Airplay disappeared, doors closed. They blackballed me, he said years later. I couldn't get a record deal, couldn't get a decent gig. Azoff, known for his cutthroat tactics, didn't deny his closeness with Henley and Frey. They even booked Eagles tour dates around golf games. Meisner was left on the sidelines. And yet, when he nearly died from a medical emergency in 2013, who paid the hospital bills? Don and Glenn. Because even through the anger, the lawsuits, and the lies, there were still traces of brotherhood. We were like a marriage, Meisner said. We loved each other, even when it hurt. In the end, Meisner carried that pain quietly, until he was 77. Randy Meisner, long silent, long suffering, finally named names. 7 of them: Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Irving Azoff, Don Felder, Joe Walsh, Jim Messina, and Richie Furay. Each name carried its own weight, its own story. Some had betrayed him, some had cut him out. Others stood by, saying nothing as he was pushed aside. But Meisner didn't name them to seek revenge. He did it to clear the air before he could no longer speak. It was never about hate. It was about truth. Yet amid that truth, there was one name he never uttered in public. One name hidden behind stage curtains and stolen moments: Stevie Nicks. In 2025, 2 years after Meisner's death, Stevie sat down for a Netflix documentary that aimed to reflect on her legendary career. The conversation turned to Randy, and for a brief moment, the witchy, ever-composed Nicks grew quiet. Then she whispered, "We were a big part of each other's lives, even though we never said it publicly." And then, she revealed something no one expected. During a 1976 tour, Stevie opened her guitar case to find a handwritten note, tucked gently beneath the strings. No signature, no date, just one line. "I hope you find peace even when you're not with me." She never doubted it was from Randy. Stevie kept the note for nearly 5 decades, folded neatly in a private notebook, hidden even from her closest friends. "It wasn't for anyone else," she said quietly. "It was for me." And then came the bombshell. Randy Meisner had always expressed himself best through music, not with headlines, not with interviews, but with melodies that carried his soul. And buried among his private recordings was a song no one knew existed. A delicate, haunting ballad titled "Found My Love." It was never released, never pitched to a label, and never played for his bandmates. Meisner recorded it quietly at his home in Topanga Canyon. Just him, a guitar, and a reel of emotion. He placed it on a single cassette and gave it to only one person, Stevie Nicks. No words, no explanation. Just the tape. Stevie kept it close for decades, never speaking of it publicly. She confessed in a 2025 documentary, "I listen to it once a year. On the month he died. It's still there, and I still listen." Her voice trembled, not with sadness, but reverence. The whereabouts of the tape remain a mystery. Some believe it was lost in the shuffle of years. Others claim it now rests in a locked archive in Los Angeles. Whether the world will ever hear "Found My Love" is uncertain. But among fans, it's already legendary, the most mysterious love song in rock history. A song not made for charts, but for one heart. Despite never dating publicly, Stevie and Randy shared something deeper than tabloid romance. There were no photos, no rumors, just moments, backstage glances, shared silences, nights on the road where words weren't needed. "He didn't try to fix me," Stevie said softly. "He just listened." And Randy? He once admitted Stevie was the only person who ever made him feel heard. They didn't need titles, not lovers, not partners, just two souls who found peace in each other's presence. Quietly, endlessly. Like a song never meant for the radio, but always meant to be remembered. When Randy Meisner left the Eagles, the world expected drama, a bitter departure, a headline-worthy feud. But none of that came. What followed was silence, a rare and disarming calm. As Stevie Nicks later recalled, he didn't leave out of anger. He left because he was tired. Tired of the pressure, the infighting, the noise. Both Meisner and Nicks continued on separate, demanding paths. Each faced demons of their own: addiction, burnout, heartbreak. But through it all, they shared something pure: respect. They never exposed each other, never turned their private connection into public spectacle. No memoir tell-alls, no leaked letters, just an unspoken understanding that their bond, whatever it was off-limits to the circus of fame. When Randy's wife, Lana Ray, died tragically in 2016, he grieved privately. No press release, no social media. When Stevie collapsed on stage from exhaustion, she never hinted at the man quietly sending support behind the curtain. They were there for each other, not in public, but where it counted. When Randy passed away in 2023, there was no formal funeral, no Grand Eagles tribute. But Stevie sent flowers and a note. 6 handwritten words. "Randy, always the one who kept me quiet." She waited 2 years before speaking publicly. Not for clout, not for press, but because, as she said in a whisper during her Netflix interview, "Now no one's affected anymore. No more band, no more marriage, just memories." And maybe that's what makes their story unforgettable. In an industry driven by image, Randy and Stevie kept something real, hidden, untouched. A love unperformed, a connection too personal for a camera lens. Randy Meisner never chased fame. He wasn't the loudest voice, the flashiest presence. He just wanted to make music and live with grace. But when he finally spoke, naming names, opening wounds, he revealed the one thing he had protected most fiercely: a love that defied spotlight and time. This wasn't just rock and roll. This was legacy wrapped in silence. A song, a letter, a love that never needed applause to be real. If you've ever felt forgotten, erased, or left behind, Randy Meisner knew how that felt. But he never stopped believing in peace, in music, in quiet love. And maybe, just maybe, that's the legacy that matters most. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. Share your favorite Randy Meisner song. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more true stories from the world behind the music. Because sometimes, the most powerful truths are the ones we keep hidden the longest. Thanks for watching.